What is up, levelers? Welcome back to a very special Halloweed episode of High Level Chronicles, where we dive deep into the latest gaming, cannabis, entertainment, whatever it may be. But today, it's about lots of spooky vibes. I'm your host, Chris, and as always, my co-host, the ghoul that's too cool, Paul. What is up, bro?
Hey, happy Halloween, y'all. Or, almost. Oh,
One
man.
more day.
Yeah. Still getting over this little cough I got, but
Really?
yeah, just enjoying the spooky season.
You've been having that sickness for a while now.
Dude, like,
Do you
for
get
years.
like those lingering colds this time of year? Like, do
I
you
feel
get
fine.
that stuff
It's
that
literally
lingers?
just a cough, and I'll have it sometimes from like October to April. It's insane, and I've
that
been
winter leaker. That's what I'm talking about.
Mucinex like it's water, and just trying to not freak out everyone I'm with. We're like, why are you coughing, man? Like, what's going on? You got COVID?
That's what I'm saying, man.
Nah,
It's like
negative.
get
I'm
the same
fine.
thing, but you sound better than you did in the last one. Last one you had the nasal going, so
Yeah, no, we're much better now. But just really, October is my month, man. I just am enjoying all the the spooky content, the
absolutely
pumpkins, the corn mazes.
my favorite holiday, man.
All that
It's my
kind of
favorite
stuff. The
holiday.
cider. Yeah, I'm more of a cider guy. I'm not a pumpkin spice, but I know that's contentious sometimes.
Yeah, well, I tell you, man, I am feeling the Halloween spirit. Got some candy, got some good green, ready to roll. You know what I mean? So tomorrow, when all the kids, everybody out, teenagers, whoever, come by, I always have little goodie bags for the adults too. With some adult favorites.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So we don't get a lot of people in my neighborhood, but sometimes I hang out with my folks, and they're like right on like a park, and we're doing Jello shots this year. So we're gonna give out some to the adults that would like to partake. So
yeah,
taking their kids around.
I usually go buy some of those like mini bottles of alcohol and stuff, and then
that's good too.
Give some of those out to adults. But the levelers, grab your pumpkins, puff on something spooky because we're about to get leveled up. We chose some spooky ones for this special episode. But before we hear what our levelers have in the cauldron today, why don't I just go ahead and kick it off this week? Like I haven't gone first in a while. So, you know what?
Go ahead.
I mean, I actually just got this new strain. I'm excited to actually say I got this new strain just for Halloween called Zombie Kush. And it's just an amazing indica that will literally put you in a zombie mode, not remember what the hell you were doing. I think everybody knows now, I started streaming the High Level Chronicles gaming stream. So I've been streaming. I have a set schedule now with our HLC podcast stream for Friday through Monday, and been streaming Dead by Daylight a lot lately, that Elden Ring.
I've seen that, yeah.
I was playing Dead by Daylight the other day and was smoking that zombie kush, and it was, probably 9 o'clock at night. I don't know. And just completely lost my train of thought after a match and was going on and on, only to realize my mic was muted and I wasn't even sharing my screen anymore. So, yeah, it definitely got me like out there. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
I also watched an old 1983 throwback movie to spooky season called Sleepaway Camp. You ever heard of that?
No.
Sleepaway Camp.
No.
So Sleepaway Camp.
38. Damn.
No, 1983. You're getting dyslexic now. It's 1983.
I was going to say, I don't know if they had those back then.
I don't know. So I was actually on Reddit. I'm a big Reddit person now. Ever since I met you on Reddit and started the podcast, I've been on there a lot. And
same. Yeah.
And I was on a thing. It was about, because, everything's like, it gives you like your, like, I guess probably what you think you would like, an algorithm or whatever. And it happened to be because it's around Halloween, that favorite scary or horror type of movies that you would watch without any context. I started going through this list, and I'm like, somebody commented and just said Sleepaway Camp, a beautiful masterpiece that is highly underrated. And I'm like, never heard of it. It was made the year after I was born, so of course I wouldn't have watched it.
Right.
Dude, let me tell you something. That movie was pretty good. It was actually, the ending, man, was fucking wild. I wasn't expecting it one bit. Like, it just ended like it ended, but it definitely worth checking out if you've never seen it. But I was just looking for, one of those great killer style movies to watch, and I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised. That ending, man, it was a great flick.
Where'd you see it on?
It was on, I think it was on either Paramount or Peacock or one of those. I set it into my voice remote with Xfinity, and it just came up and it gives me all the options to watch. So, but also, man, some of these local dispensaries, it's funny you mentioned this just a minute ago. I noticed they have pumpkin spice gummies and chews and even like these
Have seen
spooky
that.
shaped
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chocolates. So it's like, you know, uh, getting in the Halloween spirit for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just be careful. There's not nothing like hitting those edibles a little too hard and thinking your own shadow's trying to haunt you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
what
I
about you,
definitely
bro? What
saw
have you been
saw
leveling
I
up
saw
on?
that in some of the level up. But before we get there, I've been watching some Agatha all along on Disney Plus. So I don't know if you were a WandaVision fan, but it's sort of like a spinoff of that. She's Agatha Harkness from the Marvel universe, and she's trying to create a coven, going down the witch's path, and facing these trials and stuff. So I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but that was a decent start. Certainly good, kept me engaged. So watched some of
Right
that,
on.
and also leveling up on a new strain for me. It's called the True OG. So all these other OGs, this is the true one.
Yeah,
So I got
there's so
that
many
for
OGs, so many
yeah,
pushes.
right. But that's been pretty good. And then decided to try another edible from one of those chocolate ones from Encore, but it's a sea salt caramel indica. And that's just delicious. And
And of course, as you can see, I'm
yeah,
still leveling up right now on some high nine. Got
yeah,
the limeade
currently,
tonight.
yeah. And I came back to an older Switch game, Super Mario Odyssey. I had it when the Switch came out, and then I kind of lost interest for a while, so I started booting it up, and I was like, it's a pretty legit game. So having a good time with that.
Switch. You heard the Switch 2 is coming out?
I have. I know that we should probably talk about that when it does, and because I'm definitely interested
Absolutely.
in it.
I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
be getting it.
yeah. But we got a few leveled up from our comments from our levelers. We got at Marshall Matt 04 says, "What's up, broskies? I'm leveling up with a little something called Ghost OG. It's not the OG.
OG.
Ghost. Yeah, there it is. Perfect for the season. It's got me feeling like I'm floating between realms. Maybe with a little Elden Ring or
I
something.
see what he did
Maybe."
there with that. Floating as a ghost on Ghost OG.
Greg
All
L
right.
says, "I got absolutely blazed on some Jack the Ripper strain, fantastic name, and played the new Silent Hill 2. That
Ooh.
that's a horror, like
Yeah, and
OG.
it just came out a couple weeks ago. Beginning of October.
I gotta see
Second
that.
week of October.
There's a big mistake. Couldn't tell if it was the game or the weed, but I legit had a panic attack. 10 out of 10 though. Would recommend if you love fear-induced adrenaline spikes. I've never seen anyone recommend 10 out of 10 a panic attack, but you know what? Good for you, Greg.
He was just having fun.
Yeah,
It's all about. It's like when you take shrooms. You know what I mean? You got to remember you took them, or else you start freaking out. So you just have to
right,
remember
right,
that
right.
you smoked. You smoked something good.
Two more. We got four this week. At Minor Imperfections said, "I leveled up on some 100 milligram edibles. I wanted to see Terrifier 3. Felt like I was literally at the movie. Yo, bro, 100 milligrams and then a horror movie. More brave than I, but such a great series, especially during the spooky season." And last we have at Mpato 29 said, "I've been deep into phasmophobia.
Photophobia. I remember that game. That's good. That game. That's good. It's a horror game.
You're basically a ghost hunter, and when you're playing high, it's a whole new level of scary." I had one session, the ghost started whispering, and I legit threw my controller. Oh,
Well, I tell you, man, it definitely sounds like our levelers had a killer week. Pun intended there.
absolutely.
Terrifier 3. Man, I want to see it. I haven't got to see it yet. I love the Terrifier series. Art, the clown is just, it's amazing. But I actually heard
Yeah,
some
yeah.
stories about Terrifier 3. People like walking out in the first 5 minutes and throwing up and everything else because of how
Jeez.
gory it is. So, speaking of killer, we've got a killer episode lined up for you all today. Literally.
Absolutely.
Joining us is a dude who knows all about the eerie side of life. He is from Humboldt County, California, where the best bud and some of the creepiest stories come from. He's been here before, and of course, we had to get him back for our special Halloween episode. He's one of the hosts of the Murder Coaster podcast, award-winning horror writer, give it up for our boy, Matthew Brockmeyer. What's up, bro? Long time no talk. How's it been?
Hey, welcome.
Good, man. We had you at the beginning of the year with the original co-host of the show, Brian. Now we got Paul here with you. So I love having you back. I know a lot about your past. I don't say a lot. I know what we talked about and what you do and everything. Paul doesn't know anything, so I think it's going to be a good day. An awesome, spooky episode to have you back for this special thing. And also, I want to say thank you because I actually got a hold of Matthew last minute and was like, yo, we're shooting this episode this week. And we're thinking maybe a cool guest that has some, what better guest to bring on than somebody that writes horror stories and does true crime shit. I mean, yeah.
I'm always ready to tell a spooky story.
I love it,
man.
I love it.
Absolutely.
So I got to ask, man, what are you leveling up on? You leveling up on anything right now?
Yeah. I've been smoking some Gush Mints, some of the old school OG Kush San Fernando cut.
See, I believe that you would actually have some of the old school OG Kush compared to what people have nowadays saying.
Yeah, the San Fernando's still around. Luke Skywalker's still around. You still see that distinct diesel smell,
Would you say you're a connoisseur of some of the old Kush?
Yeah, for sure. Well, when it started with Chem Dog, right? And Dog Breath, and we had New York Sour Diesel, all those strains that slowly evolved and changed and brought out that diesely distinct taste and smell.
Do you have
seen some crazy movies too? It's funny, listening to you talk about Sleepaway Camp. What a weird.
Have you seen it?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Oh,
it's a bizarre film.
The ending is like, what the?
She's a boy. The Substance with Demi Moore. You hear about this?
My wife loved that movie. She said it was.
It's fucking intense. It's ridiculous and over the top, but they make it like an art film, so it's very poignant. You can see all of the violence has a reason. They're trying to say all these artistic things about Hollywood and aging movie stars, but I mean, it is intense. It is fucking crazy. So you the Menendez brothers story on Netflix. Yes. Did you see that?
I watched the I watched the series that Netflix did, or that Ryan Murphy did, I should say, and then I watched the actual documentary that they actually told their side of the story. So I got to see the differences. With Ryan, which I have my own opinions on Ryan Murphy. Go there, but
well, I thought it was interesting because he put out all these different ideas and he kind of lets you decide in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I'm not one to. I hate people that push agendas. I guess is what I don't. I mean, I don't care what you believe, what you want to do. Everybody's their own person. You know what I'm saying? But he always has to push the gay narrative. Always. They weren't gay. They weren't even. They admitted that they weren't gay. He threw that in there just for the show because we all know Ryan Murphy's. You know what I mean? He does it in every show. It's his thing, but he always is pushing it in there, and that's the only problem I have with them trying to make up this story that the brothers were gay and having homosexual relations and this when it had nothing to do with it. It was just added in for the show, to get everybody into it. That's my only problem with Ryan Murphy. I love some of his AHS stuff. Some of the stuff's really good. Some of it I don't care too much for. I love the shorts that they do.
No, they were good. They were fun.
Yeah, I like those. Yeah, I like those. I like I really like. I think it was actually. It's funny you said this to me. AHS Freak Show was one of my favorite seasons.
Yeah, that was a great one.
That was one of my favorite seasons.
Great season.
Nothing beats the first, right? I mean, because it's the first season, but that Freak Show was good. And then I felt like it started going downhill slowly after that.
Yeah.
So it was like
I liked Hotel.
Hotel was okay.
Asylum I really liked, but then it started. They started getting.
What was the one with was it Richmond? Was it in Richmond? HS Richmond or something like that?
Yeah.
That one, it started off pretty good, then it just went totally wild with it. I don't know. Either way,
the
HS classic.
Roanoke.
Richmond.
Yeah, that's
Roanoke.
Right.
I didn't care too much for that one, but I did like the Coven that they did, and then they brought it back for
that
Apocalypse.
One was okay. That was.
But yeah, they definitely get a little out of control towards the end of some of the series.
I mean, that's the nature of the beast with that show.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys: Do you two? You can answer separately or it don't matter, but you all go all out for Halloween, or are you one of those people that are just like, it's just another holiday, whatever? I mean,
Well,
I would
every
have
day
to
is Halloween
assume.
for me.
I was gonna
I
say I
go
would have
out.
to
I
assume
go
that
all out
Halloween, like you're like
Halloween
me.
every single day.
I mean,
But yeah, of
I
course, it's
assume that for
definitely
you.
my favorite time of year, and go all out as much as I can.
Yeah,
What about
I
you, Paul?
used to
You
so much. And like Tori and I would have some, like couple costumes and stuff. And it's just the last couple years, especially with COVID and stuff, like just not a lot of things have been going on. But I would really like to. I think we might, try to do like a Halloween party or something, because I think those things are just fun. You get like a theme, like here's like like a red vial or something, a witch's brew, and it's just like drinks and
right?
see people other dress up and everyone get into it, which I think is fun. So not in the past
Yeah, our
couple of
neighbor
years,
always has a big
but
Halloween bash.
yeah. So we might
He
do something. We don't
he
have a
has a
big
big one,
space.
man. Everybody comes,
Nice. Yeah.
gets all dressed up.
Yeah. I think
I always
those
wanted
are
to do
some of the
something
most fun
Halloween with the
parties.
pool, like throw dry ice into it and make it look creepy, and put up the green lights in it or something, make it look like like radioactive or some shit. I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like
Not pretty
Ice
that.
never
cool.
works like that well. You got to get a
Right?
full-on smoke machine. I got a smoke machine. It works. It's a lot of fun. It's got even got a little remote control on it, so I can turn it on and off.
Yeah, I have a smoke machine. See, I used to when we first bought our house here. I set up a haunted house, so to speak, in our garage. So they would
Nice.
enter through our back area, our backyard, come through the back garage door, and weave their way through the garage and exit out the front garage door, because we actually had an actual door on the front as well, right beside the garage door. So they'd exit out through that. And the first couple of years, it was good because I worked with people that were interested in helping me with it, like scaring people. You know what I mean? Because when you're just by yourself or your wife and she's trying to give out candy, while you're trying to scare people, it doesn't really work too well. So a couple years there, man, I had a
Uh,
couple good things with it. It was fun.
yeah.
I would
That
love
I
to
has
haven't
do
done
its
it
that,
own.
since
man.
Yeah.
COVID. I haven't done it since COVID because I think the last three Halloweens, we went from having hundreds of kids to the last three, we haven't had a whole lot. Last year, it picked up a little more than the previous couple of years. So I'm hoping this year it gets back, to it
Yeah, I think they
again.
started
So
like the
We don't get
trunk or
any here.
treat.
yeah, we have that here in town too. The trunk or treat, that's safety.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is one of my favorites. So I love Halloween. I like seeing what everybody comes up with
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
costumes.
Yeah.
Plus, I like scaring people.
Yeah.
I've always liked to.
We did the dog dress up contest. My sister did anyway with our old dog, and she won first place. So we had our dog dressed up as Bob Ross, as Dog Ross, and she put on all this makeup and put like a easel and like that she was wearing, and she was a perfect little accident or something, and got like a whole bunch of like they were like dog prizes or something, like training and stuff. So
So let me ask you
that was cool.
this: do either of you have any crazy or just weird, whatever, how like personal Halloween stories like that's happened to you, or things you remember specifically from Halloween that's happened that freaked you out? Awful
I
quiet.
don't know if I ever saw, but I in high school I
Halloween's
would
just a time of joy for me.
yeah
Well,
absolutely.
let me tell you where I'm going with this. It's just a little story I have. I used to be a firefighter and paramedic, or I took different positions back in the day. I was a firefighter and paramedic for the longest time. And I can remember with extreme detail, vivid as can be, like I can close my eyes right now and be right there at that scene. It was Halloween night. It was a wreck. And it was 2001 or 2002. I can't remember exactly. Somewhere right at the beginning of the 2000s. And it was a small black two-door Chevy Cavalier. Y'all remember those, right? Small two-door Cavaliers that apparently had just left a Halloween party. Teenagers, you know what I'm saying? And it was a couple, and they were dressed as a devil and an angel. Shocker, right? Couples costumes back in the day, devil and angel, right?
Right.
The sexy and the whatever. But the problem is they were driving at a high rate of speed and also under the influence, and smashed into the back of a parked UPS truck on a back road. And it was so bad. When I pulled up, I was the first one on scene because that was in West Virginia. And when I was a firefighter, the company I was with as a volunteer also on the side, I had my paid and I did volunteer. You could take your own POV to the scene. You could have lights and siren in your cars, and go right to the scene if it was in between you and the station. So if not, then you had to stop at the station, get on an actual engine or ambulance and go, right? But this was on the way. So I pulled out And as soon as I pulled up to the scene, the call, somebody, it happened in front of a house. It was a guy's house. It was his UPS truck parked, whatever was going on. But the back glass, it was, Halloween nights are cool nights. They're always cold. There was brain matter on the back glass, still steaming from the cool night.
Oh
They
my
were both
God.
deceased. They were both deceased. One was through the windshield, and the other one was laying like upside down in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, it was. I can still picture. There was nothing I could do at that point, but yeah.
And that was Halloween night.
That's my
Because they were just like,
Halloween night.
just damn.
They were at a party. Like I said, it was just teenagers. I think when it came out, one was 17 and one was 18.
Oh man, that's awful.
Tragic.
Yeah. And it was his brain matter that was on the back, not hers. She was out of the windshield. She went straight through and actually went through and hit the UPS truck and landed right in front of it. Like hit the back door and landed in front of it.
Oh, wow.
But he was in the back seat and his head had get smashed right up against the back leg, whatever it happened. Yeah, there were still pieces of brain matter just steaming off the back windshield or the back window. Crazy.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's what I mean by crazy, weird Halloween stories.
I had a crazy one, but it wasn't like death. It was we went and saw the Cramps in San Francisco back when Lux Interior was still alive.
Okay.
And we all ate ecstasy, but for some reason, my one good friend decided to drop a 5-strip of acid. And then, he just suddenly disappeared, man. We were, looking for him and looking for him and looking for him. And the show ends, and he's just not there. And I called him up on his phone, and he had, gone out to this tree and found this big, tall tree in San Francisco and climbed to the top of it. He was dressed like a priest. And he was just hiding up there. And he missed the whole fucking show, and we're huge Cramps fans too. So, but that's not too bad. It was fun.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can think of for me is my first year in college. We went down to Baltimore. I lived in Towson, which is not that far away, and we were told that there was a gang initiation night, and that people were going to be shot at and killed, and we saw bodies that were kind of in the distance and people kind of wandering around like zombies. It's not just Baltimore. And so we're kind of running away from these figures, these bodies, and then we learned the next day that there actually was an elaborate prank. There's no gang initiation. There was just a bunch of people that were kind of paid to lay around and walk kind of zombie-ish, and we were all drinking and stuff. We're like, holy shit, but
that's actually
that's a good night.
I can see that happen. I can see Baltimore just being zombies anyway.
Yeah,
most people are. So Matthew, I got to ask, in the Murder Coaster podcast, have you ever done any type of episode that involved Halloween night at all on anything?
Kind of. Well,
the only known story I know of with Halloween night, if anything, was the Candyman. So that was the actual guy that was going around. I think he was putting drugs in, some type of poison in pixie sticks, and gave it to somebody. I don't remember. So that's why they called him the Candyman, and that's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know that story.
Yeah, his name's I think it was Robert something. I can't remember his name. He went by the Candyman, or what they dubbed him, the Candyman.
I mean, I've heard of urban legends.
Last year for Halloween.
You what?
Yeah, urban legends.
Legends of people putting drugs and razor blades and whatever. And I didn't know if that was actually true. Yeah.
There's a gun in a Snickers bar. What the hell?
Don't waste your good drugs giving it to kids. Save that for yourself. Right.
Nobody giving that stuff out. Matthew, what were you saying?
Last year we covered werewolves for all of October and Halloween, and we did and this year we're doing vampires, so we're doing all real life vampires.
Wait, vampires are real?
Yes, unfortunately they're very real, man. Have you ever heard of Richard Chase, the Sacramento vampire?
No.
Well,
Sacramento, Sacramento, California?
Yeah.
No.
So in the 1970s, this young man, he was coming into early onset schizophrenia. And it was actually the 60s at this point, the late 60s. It was the time of free love, and everyone was getting it on, and he was trying to hook up with these girls, but he was impotent, couldn't get it up. And he heard, of course, that an erection is made of blood, and he was having serious mental issues.
Oh my God!
And he
I see where this is going.
thought that he didn't have enough blood in his body. He became convinced of it, and so he he started with animals. He would like grab a kitten and cut it open and just literally like suck on it like you suck on an orange, trying to hopefully be able to get an erection. Shot dogs. He bought so many puppies to kill and eat that all the pet stores put him on a list and banned him and stuff.
Oh my God.
And he eventually, unfortunately, started attacking people, breaking into. And it was really weird because he was like a vampire in some ways. If he would come up to a house and try to open the door, and if it was locked, he would think it was a sign that he shouldn't go in. Like vampires have to be invited into the house.
Right.
But then he came to a house, opened it up, and I mean, he did absolutely horrific things. Yeah.
So he was caught?
Yes.
Did they kill him with a silver bullet? No, that's werewolves, right?
They gave him the death penalty.
Stake to the heart.
And he was able to save all of his drugs that they were giving him, these antipsychotic medicines, and kill himself on death row in San Quentin. He did awful things. He took like a 1.5-year-old baby, dude, and like bashed open its head and ate its brain. I mean, the things he did.
That sounds like the Terrifier.
Yeah, real life.
You watched the Terrifier? Have you seen those movies?
Oh yeah, I've seen the first two. Yeah,
the new one's
I'm
out
looking forward to the third one.
The new one came out, so
I know.
I can't
I'll
wait.
probably go see it. Yeah.
So this guy was caught. So that's a real. So what other vampire? There's a real life vampire.
Yeah. And then
wait. Well, so I gotta know now though. My question now is, what about these werewolves? Are really werewolves? No.
Yes.
That's just urban legends, right?
Just really hairy guys.
Well, the idea of a werewolf, very ancient. They talked about him in Roman times. That's pretty much where it came from, Roman times. Developed in like France in the 13th century, executed over like 50,000 werewolves. They were mostly serial killers who they just couldn't wrap their head around how someone could just go out and like murder and do these awful things. So they would attribute it to the supernatural and call them werewolves. And they were often said to be like working with witches, the servants of witches. But I mean, there was like many werewolves burned at the stake in Europe. But then as we got into like the 20th, in the 1920s Germany, there was this guy, Fritz Hamann. And they called him the werewolf of, not Dusseldorf, where was he the werewolf? Well, anyway, he would rip the throat out of people while raping them. And it was just so horrific that they didn't know. They just started calling him a werewolf. I mean, they would find these victims dead, mutilated, with their throats literally ripped out. But he was like a werewolf in the fact that he would attack during the full moon and he would just become completely crazy. And then even very recently, this is like just a couple years ago, there was this guy, Dylan Haroff in Florida. And he was actually, the term lycanthropy? Lycanthrope means werewolf. He was clinically defined as a lycanthrope. And he went out on the full moon just out of nowhere. This college student ripped off all of his clothes. He was wearing nothing but a Make America Great hat again. And he came to, yes, this is you can Google it, look it up. He came to this open garage of this couple in Florida, and they had like converted their garage into like a den, like a little party space. They're like a retired elderly couple, and he just went in there and just started attacking them and ripping their faces off with his teeth, biting their faces off, ripping them apart. And he's naked, and he just comes barreling into this garage and attacks these people, bites off their face, and the police had to come in and just beat him down. And he was rich. He had wealthy parents. And they were able to find a psychiatrist who defined him as a lycanthrope. And he was acquitted. He got off on lycanthropy. But he's got to spend the rest of his life in a mental institution.
In Florida.
I was going to say, because like clinically diagnosed, I've never heard that. I didn't know that. Is that in the DSM-5? Like,
I think that lycanthropy is in the DSM-5. It means
crazy
going into a psychotic state where you believe you're an animal. Yeah,
it's wild.
I mean, I've heard of Florida men, but I never heard of the Florida werewolf.
Yeah, Dylan Haroff, the Florida werewolf.
Always crazy stories out of Florida. Maybe you should move to Florida and leave California.
Nothing crazy ever happens in California. Yeah, just all peace and love here, man.
Isn't the Humboldt Woods haunted? The woods around.
Where isn't it haunted? But yes, in particular, the redwoods of Humboldt County, I would say, are definitely very haunted.
I feel
Have
like
you
there's
ever
got to
been
be
in
some
there at night?
stories, with those big trees and
Right?
everything. Yeah.
I've got a story for you, a great story whenever you're ready for it, if
Let's
you want
hear
to
it.
hear it.
Let's
Let's
go.
go
All
ahead,
right.
man.
So these are people I know. Their names are Jim and Norma Gund. They are like ranchers out. Are you familiar with like the Emerald Triangle in Humboldt County? Because this is actually technically in Trinity County, but it's dead center, the Emerald Triangle. So the Emerald Triangle is where Humboldt County, Mendocino County, and Trinity County meet. That's why it's a triangle. It's these three counties. And this is pretty much right there. It's technically in Trinity County, but it's only miles from Mendocino and miles from Humboldt. In this little tiny town called Pettenpalm, just way out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. And they're like ranchers. They grow weed. They smoke weed, of course. Everybody does. It's just part of the culture. But they're not like big pot growers or like hippies. They're horse people. They have a horse ranch, and my daughter takes horse riding lessons from them. Really
Nice.
good people. So they had this land next to them. A guy from Oregon moved there named Christopher Richardson. He goes by the name Sky. He went by the name Sky. And him and his girlfriend Christine moved there. And they started a big marijuana operation, which is nothing new, nothing big out there. It was just like
Doesn't stand
whatever.
out from anything.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so in March of 2011, Christine called 911 and it was patched into the sheriff in Trinity. And she was just saying, "Help me. Can you help me? Please help me." And then hung up. So apparently, and this is slightly disputed, the sheriff from Trinity County called Norma Gund and said, "Can you go to your next door neighbor's house and check on them?" We had a weird phone call. And it's beginning to snow, and they didn't know if they were going to be able to get up there because, it's like these crazy back roads and these switchbacks and one lane pothole, crazy dirt roads and shit.
And when was this?
2011.
2011. And is that something that would normally happen in that area? Like, what I mean by that is if you call the police and whatever, and is it like they kind of know everybody because it's such a tight-knit area and they would say, "Hey, go check on this," or was that just out of the norm for them to say, "Hey, can you go check on this person?"
Apparently, it's out of the norm because
Okay.
it became a very contentious big deal.
Okay.
And then the sheriff still denies it. The sheriff said, "We just called and said, can you look out your window and can you see their house? Can you see anything weird out there?"
I could see that happening. I could see
But
that.
the sheriff said, "Can you drive over there and check on them?" So it's beginning to snow. They get on their four-wheeler. They go out through the snow and they come up to this cabin. And it's Jim and Norma. And Norma is certain that it's because they're newbies, they're hippies, they don't know what the fuck they're doing out there, they don't know how to homestead, and they can't figure out how to work their wood stove. And they've probably like don't know how to open the flue, and they filled their cabin with smoke or something stupid like that. And she walks up, and she said as she walked up, she could see smoke coming out from the cabin. So she's like, "Yeah, that's it. These fucking idiots don't know how to use their wood stove. They don't know how to have a fire. They're new school hippies, just moved here and stuff." And then out of the house comes this guy named Tomas Gouverneur, who was a friend of theirs from Oregon. They're all from Oregon, Corvallis, Oregon. And she's like, "Let me guess, there's a problem with the wood stove." And he's like, "Yeah, come inside." And so she walks into the house. Her husband is sitting outside waiting for her. She walks inside and she immediately sees Sky and Christine dead on the floor with their throats slit, handcuffed with their hands behind their back, wrapped in plastic and duct tape. And as she turns around to scream, this guy, Tomas, tases her, takes a knife and slits her throat, cutting open her windpipe and hitting her carotid artery. And she starts trying to struggle and scream. And when she does, he begins to tase her neck. And this is absolutely amazing. When he tases her neck, he actually cauterizes the carotid artery and stops her from bleeding to death. And as they're struggling, her husband runs in. And he starts fighting with this guy. And he tells her, "Go, run away, run." So she runs out, jumps on the 4Runner, and manages to drive to this little teeny tiny general store they have. Meanwhile, her husband, Jim, is fighting with the guy, and the guy goes for Jim's throat, too. And he cuts Jim's throat as well, but he just nicks him. He doesn't get in very deep. And he tases him over 20 times. This guy, Jim's a big old burly country guy, and he manages to finally knock the guy down and wrestle the knife away from him. But he's been tased 20 times. He's like all messed up. And then the guy runs out and leaps into his car and drives away in the Subaru Outback. And so then Jim eventually makes it to the little store. And this is so far and so remote and so in the middle of nowhere. They don't even have like real ambulance service. They had like this old pickup truck that was used for emergency services. So they load them up in that, and they're able to like get them down through the windy, fucked up roads to an area where a real ambulance can get them. And then the ambulance takes them down to Garberville and Humboldt. And Jim is actually, he's okay. He stays there, but they have to actually life flight Norma to UC Davis. I mean, her windpipe is cut. She's in really bad news, and she had to get surgery. Meanwhile, there's a bolo, be on the lookout for this Subaru with this guy Tomas driving. And I don't know if you're familiar with the area. This is crazy. It just shows you how wild this area is. He's in Trinity. He drives down into Humboldt. Then he goes back up around into Mendocino. He goes down in Mendocino into this town called Covelo. I mean, it's crazy. It's just all backwoods, all like crazy dirt roads. Drives through Covelo and then makes it onto the 101, the major highway, which is like really, he went through the backwoods far. And then the cops finally find him as he see him, and they start chasing him, and he slams into a redwood tree and dies. And in the car, they found a bunch of weed and money. He had come down. He knew them. He knew Sky was like his old friend. And they say that they had some kind of maybe beef over a girl at some point. There's like all these different theories, but he had actually bought the handcuffs and all the ropes in Oregon before he even drove down to California. So he planned this. He planned this murder out all out.
In advance.
Yeah, well in advance. And I forgot the best part of the damn story. So while Jim is wrestling with this guy, right, and he tells Norma to run, she, her windpipe is cut open. She can't even talk. Her carotid artery's cut. She's bleeding to death. She says that 2 angels descended, and angels carried her out of this cabin. And she said when she looked down, she could see her feet weren't touching the snow, and that she wasn't leaving any footprints, but that on either side of her were the footprints of the angels that carried her. And afterwards, she got 2 angels tattooed, one on each wrist.
Wow.
But after surgery, she survived. And then they had a tough time. The PTSD apparently was very, very difficult for them.
I can imagine.
Very spun out. They're scared of strangers. They don't like, and already you get people like that. You live out in the middle of nowhere. The kind of people that live out like that are like already wary of strangers, wary of people. Homesteaders. So it's like very hard for them. And then, of course, the weed market tanked, and they weren't able to make much money. They'd been, surviving off of weed, and they sued the Trinity Sheriff's Department for telling them to go out and look at this cabin. And the Trinity Sheriff's Department said, we didn't tell you to go look at the cabin. We just told you to look out your window. We didn't tell you to go there. But they won, and they got a $7 million settlement.
Damn.
I mean, for almost losing your life.
Yeah.
Of course, half that goes to their lawyer.
And everything, taxes.
And the taxes. But still, they got a few $1 million out of the deal. And that's the story of Jim and Norma Gunn. They're friends of ours, and they're good people. We're going to do I was going to cover it for Murder Coaster, but I think I'm going to make like a many episode long podcast just dedicated to this whole case. It's really crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That's wild. Especially the cauterizing part. Like, that's so crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Like, that is the wildest part, that you would take, I'm sure he didn't mean for it to happen, but that definitely something watching over that woman, right? I mean,
she swears that angels lifted her up and she left no footprints in the snow.
Well, let me ask you, I'll try and go off topic. What's your thoughts on that? Do you believe that? Do you believe there's angels? Do you believe in that stuff? Or are you,
no, I don't believe in any of that at all. That's just my personal belief.
Actually, I think we might have talked about that last time, maybe. think I remember you telling me that at some point. Maybe it was just off the show when we talked. But I think I remember you telling me about that. That's crazy though. I mean, that's something like you make a that is. Man, I think I said this last time on the show too with you, but you can make a movie out of that, or
Absolutely, yeah,
a mini series or something. You know what I mean? Any of these limited series would be a good avenue for something like that. It's just crazy.
I guess some Hollywood producers have come up and talked to them a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, some of your stories are wild. Like, you could pitch some of those, all right, if that's like what you're into, or
is there a town in Humboldt called Weed?
No, it's not in. It's in.
Okay.
What county is that in?
But there is a town called Weed.
County. There is a town called Weed. Yeah,
in California.
It's on the 5. It's by Mount Shasta.
I thought I'd heard that somewhere.
Is it because of the cannabis that's grown there?
No, it's been called that for hundreds of years or something.
Okay.
And isn't Humboldt and the redwoods, all that? There's supposed to be like some Bigfoot in that area.
Oh yeah, we got the Bigfoot's huge out here. Well, that's the really famous. What is the name of it? It's the really famous shot of like Bigfoot walking by a creek like this.
Yeah,
and
you can see him in the background.
That's Humboldt County. That's a Willow Creek.
Yeah,
and they have a Bigfoot museum there.
But
we have 2 Bigfoot museums.
But is that really? That's like, West Virginia has the Mothman museum, statues and everything. So cool. Yeah. Come on now. We know it's not real, but Bigfoot.
Well, are you sort of in like the Pacific Northwest area, like with that? I know it's California, but does it
I think it does. It's arguable, but we're so close to the Oregon border. I would consider it the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that area is so vast and so forested. Who knows what's in there?
Yeah. Well, isn't that part of why they call that area you were talking about the Emerald Triangle, right? Because that's like the golden area to grow cannabis in, like almost perfect conditions is what they say about that.
Well, it's not. That's like kind of not true. You can grow weed anywhere.
Well, we know that.
All of California is great to grow weed in Northern California because we have a Mediterranean climate. There's no humidity during the summers. So it's very dry. There's no, on the East Coast, it's very humid in the summers, and you'll get like rain showers in the summer.
You ain't got to tell
me. It's like Moldville, man. It's just going to mold up. So we have like no rain during the summer at all. And it's very, very dry, this dry heat. And we grow the best weed and the best grapes. But that's all of Northern California. The reason Humboldt County was so famous for growing weed is because we're very hilly, a lot of tall trees, backwoods, dirt roads, outlaws. And because of that, because of the hills, you can't see your neighbor. So you can it's like you go out into like by Sacramento, it's beautiful growing area for corn. You got acres and acres. You can see as far as the eye can see. You can see the horizon. It's all flat. But Humboldt's all hills and redwoods. So you can hide. And you can like have a little crop hidden. And it's more catering to the outlaw than it is to the actual ideal growing conditions,
Yeah.
Wow,
I think, what was it? You already asked something, Paul. Were you already asked something?
I think that was, I know, I listened to you guys talk about this before, but the Murder Mountain documentary.
This is right next to Murder Mountain.
Yeah. But that seems to be like an interesting kind of juxtaposition where you have hippies, but also like outlaw. Like, is that like a mesh of the both, like together, or like 2 separate groups that both?
That's that
like
outlaw hippie
there.
Culture.
Yeah, I say most hippies are outlaws, in a lot of ways, especially out here they are. But you also get a lot of just fucking rednecks, straight up like hardcore rednecks, bikers, all kinds of crazy motherfuckers, back to the landers. And it's weird when you see the generations pass because so a lot of the hippies came here in the late 60s and throughout the 70s and the 80s and started homesteads and started these big grows and opened up schools and community centers, and this whole culture started. And then they had kids, and then their kids went to like the local high school where it was all like rednecks and ranchers, and they started getting in fights with the ranchers and shit, and they're like, well, I'm gonna be a fucking hippie, man, I'm gonna be fucking tough. So the hippies' kids turned out even more redneck than the rednecks' kids because they had something to motherfucking prove. You know what I'm saying? And then they had kids. Now we're like on 3rd and 4th generations of this, and it's like evolved. And it just turned into this mesh. But unfortunately, with legalization, we're losing a lot of that culture, But it is a crazy mesh of hippies, outlaws, rednecks.
And you're not from there, right? If I remember right, you're
No,
not
no,
from.
I'm not from here. I came
You
here in
moved.
'97.
Yeah, that's right. I knew you came there. So, where are you originally from?
I grew up in Baltimore,
That's
but
what's up, man.
I left there in like 1989. So it's been a
Never
while.
look back.
No.
Yeah, I
I
lived
gotta
there
ask,
for a
being
number of
Halloween and
years.
stuff, fellas. I gotta ask, what is your? Let's ask you, Paul, first. What is your favorite horror movie? Scary movie?
Shit.
We know it's not Sleepaway Camp because you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
We know it's not Terrifier yet.
I saw, I think it was Conjuring,
Okay.
and that was the one with it's like a undead nun or something like that. Pretty good, just off the top of my head.
Conjuring was that whole series was pretty good.
Yeah. That's what I'll go with for
What
now.
about you?
If I think of a
What about
better
you,
one, I'll let
Matthew?
you down.
You have, I'm
Oh,
sure you've
geez.
seen everything, so it's like it's gonna be hard for you to even answer. But
It is, but I like the old school, you know. I like the classics. I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just a classic. It's not even that gory or anything. It's just creepy and scary. Something about it. I like
I do
I
dig
don't
the
know.
old what was it, like the '80s era slasher that it was always about sex and murder. Like everybody had very voluptuous women and the stuff getting murdered or killed, and it was always something like that. That was all the classics to me like that.
Gotta have sex in a horror movie. There's something about it, you know.
Isn't that the rules? Like, and they say in Scream,
Yeah.
can't die a virgin.
You ever see Videodrome by David Cronenberg? That's a great movie.
Video.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, it's about
What is that
this
about?
cable TV guy in the East finds this bizarre signal of a torture chamber of this guy like torturing women in this basement. And the more you watch it, it like infects your brain and it starts to make you hallucinate and kind of go insane, slowly go insane. It's really wild stuff. Debbie
Dude, it's on
Harry
Peacock.
is in it.
It's on Peacock, and it's got an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. Anything
So
David
the movie I
Cronenberg
might have to
is
check
great.
out. Another one I
Yeah,
might have to
there you
check
go.
out. Like I say, I think my favorite horror, scary type of movie is Sinister. There's just something about Sinister that made me just like what's like when you found out it was kids, like it's sort of like Children of the Corn, right? But not like, I mean, it was just Sinister was just, that's one movie that freaked me out a little bit, and I don't get freaked out by anything. Sinister definitely good. But I like the classic Jason, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween, and Chucky.
Did you see
know,
Freddy
all
vs.
that.
Jason, with the crossover?
And I've seen all of them.
That was
Awesome
pretty
movie.
good. Yeah,
It is. It's great, isn't it? I love that
Classic.
film.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I like the new school stuff too. I like The Witch with Eggers. Have you seen that? He also made like The Lighthouse and The Northman. He's got
Why do I feel like
Nosferatu
I've-
coming out.
feel like I've
or
seen
like
The Witch.
Hereditary. I like that.
Hereditary.
There was some
That's a great
really
movie.
good horror series that has come out in the past couple of years, like The Haunting of Hill House, Rye
Those are good.
Manor.
Yeah, definitely.
They
Mike
did
Flanagan's this guy's name. He
yeah,
does those. Yeah.
it's the kind of a lot of the same cast. They did Edgar Allan Poe, The Fall of the House of Usher, like really, really fucking well done. Like just
Yeah, The Haunting
A+.
of Hill House in particular was fantastic. Fantastic. But The Fall of House of Usher was great too. Yeah, I love that shit. Oh, Midnight Mass is another one he made.
yeah,
Great show.
That was just
That show's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
good.
that show's good. I love that show.
Nice twist in that and everything. Yeah, so there's
He's great.
like horror. Is that all the same guy? Because it's they're all just
he also made like
exceptional.
Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining.
I heard about that. I did
Didn't
not
know
see
that.
that though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
wanna
what's he?
see,
He's making something right now too. Like what the hell is he making? I can't remember. Something Stephen King. But yeah, he's great.
Stephen King's always got a good stuff. I want to see if you all seen Smile.
Yeah, I saw
Smile
it.
2 is out. I haven't
Smile
seen
2's
Smile.
out,
I need
yeah.
to see that.
I haven't seen that either.
Need to
Yet.
see
Is
it.
it good?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the first one. That's what I need to watch it.
Well,
I need to watch
I
Smile.
saw the preview and I was like very unimpressed. I was like, this looks like another stupid horror movie. Blah blah blah. And I wasn't even trying to watch it. And then it was on one day, and I'm like, well,
That's my
I got
thing with it.
nothing
That's
else
why I
to
never
watch.
watched
I'll
it.
watch this stupid horror movie. And I was impressed. I was like, damn, this is actually really good. You know, I thought it was great. Great film.
That's the same thing I thought about. We watched To Me. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That surprised me how actually that was a pretty good movie. Like I thought it was just gonna be another just
Well,
you know
A24
cat
made
grab.
it, so
I'll do anything
they
A
make
two
the
four
best
is
movies, man.
yeah.
I
A
knew
two
that was going to be
four
good because
is
A24 made it, but yeah, that was great.
yeah.
No, they've just been on a
A
run,
two
man.
four. Who's the other one I like? Blumhouse.
Bloomhouse is
Yeah, I don't
the
like
like
Bloomhouse
Yeah.
too much.
they
It's too cheesy.
Blumhouse.
very hot. Did you see? I think Chris and I saw this. The Speak No Evil with James McAvoy.
No, I saw
It's
the
pretty good.
original years ago, but I haven't seen the new one. No,
Yeah.
That was
is it
It
good?
was
yeah. I really enjoyed it.
That's what I
it
keep
was
hearing.
good. It was very predictable to me. I mean, it
Yeah, I think you do the whole
didn't
time. Like
happen,
it
but it
was
was good.
like obviously they're bad, but you just don't know sort of how it's going to
Yeah.
happen, and then the final scene is pretty
I
good.
watched the New Salem's Lot, and I personally did not like it at all.
Haven't seen it. Have
Yeah,
not seen that yet. I just because I don't know, man. Something with redone plastics and stuff just makes me.
yeah, they butchered it terribly.
There's a new one too. I don't know. It's already out. Have you Heretic? Is that the one that came out this year?
Yeah, it sounds familiar. I can't remember. Yeah. I don't know if I've
Came out
seen that
last
one.
year.
I know M. Night
Pretty good
Shyamalan had a couple come out recently, or maybe like a month ago or so, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of him in years, and I don't think I saw any of them, but I was like, oh,
It's
like
got
it's-
Hugh Grant in it. That's who it has. It's a Hugh Grant movie. But they're like Mormons, and they try to like convert a man that ends up being like the
Really?
devil.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Mormons are
it's
creepy as fuck.
dude, it's pretty good. It is. That's what I'm saying.
We cover a lot of Mormon true crime
really
because they're kind of susceptible to weird shit, man. It's like their whole because
from A24.
part of their religion is being open to God and like being open to personal revelation, where God personally tells you things, personally talks to you, and like it's a good way to fucking be crazy. You know what I mean? You get an idea in your head, and you're like, well, it was God. You know what I mean? And God told me to do something fucked up, and they go and do it, man. There's a lot of really twisted Mormon true crime.
I can only
Okay.
imagine. But yeah, it's A24. It's a Heretic is an A24 movie, so it's
It
definitely worth
is?
a watch.
Then I definitely got to check it
Yeah.
out because they're my favorites.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
all those.
It's-
They're real artsy. They
Yeah.
made this a really bizarre one fairly recently called Beau is Afraid. You heard about that?
Was
It
afraid.
is- It's the craziest, fucking weirdest movie you have ever seen. It's nuts. With Joaquin Phoenix. It is nuts.
that rings a bell, but it's like supposed to be like a wacky kind of horror thing or something like that.
It's almost not even horror, just like a pure art film. But it is. It is horror. It's scary. It's weird. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's utterly bizarre. Like a dream. It's like a dream, one of those dream movies.
Speaking of horror, as you're talking, what is some of your award-winning horror stuff that you wrote?
Well, I have Kind of Penthy is my novel. It's about weed growing out in the middle of nowhere, and everything goes very. It's about like some dreadlocked hippies, fish kids, and they come up to Humboldt County to do this indoor operation way out in the hills with a generator where they have to get diesel for it, and the place is like kind of haunted, and the neighbors are total tweakers. Just everything you could think of that could go wrong goes wrong. It's very scary and strange. And then I have 2 books of short stories. One called Under Rotting Sky that won a little award. That's also got a lot of stories about growing weed in it. And almost all of my stories take place in Humboldt County and have like hippies or punks or homesteaders or rednecks or just this whole weird culture,
Right.
You write what you know, So
Yeah, but check out Kind of Nepenthe. That's a Nepenthe. I don't know if you know this is a type of an elixir that brings peace. It's like a Homer talked about it. It's like from the Greek mythology. And Edgar Allan Poe in The Raven, he's talking about how he is so hurt by the loss of his true love. He says, "Quaff, oh quaff, this kind Nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Kind of mean just like get fucked up so that you don't remember the pain and the heartache,
that's cool. Like, what would you say your like inspiration is? Like, you seem to be like a really like horror driven guy. Is it always something you've been interested in, or what drives
literature.
that type?
Most literature is dark in one way or the other. Shakespeare, so dark, He talks about witches and ghosts and things, and so much of even modern literature. If when you pick it up and you read it, you're like, why isn't this even in the horror genre? Why is it called literature and not horror? Because they don't want that stigma on it. But I just love stories, and I love dark fiction and dark stories, and I'm a lover of stories, lover of books, lover of movies.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of like kind of campy horror stuff, but when it's done well, it's really worth watching or reading or whatever the medium is. That's what I really appreciate with the artistic touch to it.
Absolutely.
All right, but before we wrap up this spooky sesh, I think gotta hit you with some Halloween-themed recommendations. So, fellas, I'm gonna put you on the spot. What are you telling the levelers to watch, smoke, or play this Halloween? I'll give you a minute to think. I'll start. Okay, I'll give you a minute to think. And we'll push this button. I'll give you a think. So, levelers, you got to try Ghost Train Haze. It's an energetic strain. So, if you're gaming or maybe you're going to a haunted house, you know what I'm saying? Perfect. And for gaming, I mean, you probably already know what I'm going to say, but if you haven't played Dead by Daylight yet, what are you doing with your life? For the uninitiated, this game is basically hide and seek. One person is a serial killer. So you can play as characters from horror classics like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Pinhead, Chucky. It's a multiplayer game, so you and people, your squad, can all be high as hell and trying to survive together. You can also catch me streaming it at HLC Podcast 420 on all the streaming platforms, but it just doesn't get any better. What are you telling the levelers to do?
Got a few things. So, there is a game on Steam. It's called Little Nightmares. I've just started it, so I can't speak too much about it. But it is sort of like a puzzle game, but with just horror, like jump scares and creepy things going into the frame. So I'd recommend that. And then we've talked about it a little bit already, just mentioned it. But Netflix does have some really great series of The Haunting of Hill House, Bright Manor, and Fall of the House of Usher, where you get a really thoughtful, well-written, well-acted MIDI series, and it's all horror. It's all undead and taken from literature. At least the Fall of the House of Usher. We get a lot of Poe stories, really, and I love Edgar Allan Poe. He's just a fantastic writer. So I'd recommend those things, and little indica strain. Get a little relaxed, but then get ready to be spooked as well.
We also can't go. We got to give an honorable mention, of course, since it is spooky season, to Blair Witch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it was filmed.
Is nearby.
It was from right up the road. So, you know what I mean? Got to give that. So, Matthew, what about you, man?
I'm going to say kick it old school style. Purple is always spooky. So, find yourself some purple Urkel, some old school purple nuggets, and enjoy that candy flave. And go check out The Substance with Demi Moore. And it is the wildest horror film you've ever seen. It takes body horror to a whole new level. And maybe check out the TV show Yellow Jackets. You ever see that?
Oh, I love Yellow Jackets.
My friend's a producer on Yellow Jackets. He recommends it very highly. Yeah, he's out. I
love Yellow Jackets. That show's wild. Yeah, if you haven't seen Yellow Jackets, definitely a must see series for sure. Waiting on the new season.
Yeah, you said they just wrapped up.
Great recommendations, fellas. Paul, any last final thoughts?
Hey man, the spooky season is ending. It's upon us. It's a great time to get out there. Nice weather, spooky time. Just be safe. You do.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Matthew from Murder Coaster, chilling with us again. You're welcome back anytime, bro.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You have so many stories. I mean, we can literally go on for hours and hours and hours. So it's always great to have you. Levelers, I do got to say, spooky season is ending. Christmas season is coming up. No. So with that,
too early.
Gotta go see The Terrifier 3 because it's now
a Christmas movie, right?
The first two were Halloween. Now it's a Christmas.
Why are they releasing it so fucking early, man? They should have put it out in December.
Probably Halloween because it is, it's spooky season.
Christmas shit.
That's why. It came out early because it was spooky season. But I call it's Mariah Carey season. Hear that?
She's defrosting right now,
But anyway, levelers, stay safe, stay spooky, stay lit, and as always, stay leveled up. We're at.
Thanks for listening to High Level Chronicles. See you next time.